And welcome to Neighbors in Need. This is Scott Spezzano, and today we're going to look to the skies because I'm with a couple of friends from the Rochester Area Flyers, the RAF. And what do? They throw themselves off perfectly good mountains with parachutes and wings and things like that. These are the hang glider pilots of Western New York, the Rochester Area Flyers. Welcome, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you please introduce yourselves.
My name's Chris Toomey, RAF member.
Mm-hmm. And Marty Hughes.
You the boss or something?
No, we're just club members.
We're here to, and you guys are here to help bring to light some of the greatest, coolest outdoor sport you can do. And it's launching yourself off a perfectly good mountain.
That's right.
Hang gliding in the Rochester area has been around for how long?
Hang gliding itself in this country probably saw its heyday in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
The Rochester Area Flyers has been around maybe 45 years. I think 1975 was the inception of the club itself, I believe. I
have full disclosure. I am a former hang glider pilot. I don't know if you could ever be former, but I have been certified, and I still have my glider. I haven't done it in a long time, but I absolutely still have flying dreams. And as a hang glider pilot, once you achieve that, you're in a world of your own. And with a bunch of people that know the experience, I think the hardest thing about hang gliding is you just want to share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
But it's really hard to describe.
But once we get your feet off the ground, you're hooked.
It's all over. Now, we got classes starting up in April. Is that correct?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Rochester Area Flyers is a not-for-profit organization that promotes free flight in the Finger Lakes region. Most people don't realize that Western New York offers some of the finest gliding opportunities in the country, certainly east of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
When most people think of hang gliding and paragliding, they think Southern California.
Jumping off cliffs.
Rightfully so.
Right.
But Western New York has some of the best flying soaring that's out there.
Yeah.
Elmira, New York is the soaring capital. It used to be the soaring capital of the world. Now it's the soaring capital of the United States. People have been soaring in our region for decades. Yeah.
When I was a kid, for my birthday, I had to wait till spring because I'm a December baby, but I got a chance to go in a sailplane down in Elmira, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And little did I know, 25, 30 years later, I was able to launch just around the corner from that hill. Yeah.
Well, that's our sister club, actually, there at Harris Hill Soaring, the Free Spirit Flyers, another hang gliding organization in the Southern Tier. And most of the members of the RAF are also members of their club and vice versa.
Okay.
And between the two of us, we probably have 10 or 12 premier flying sites.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so let's start from the beginning. Why would I want to get into hang gliding?
Why wouldn't you? Would be our question. I can tell you personally.
If you've ever been a kid and you take a sheet and you jump off your,
ever since mankind climbed out of the muck, we've been looking towards the heavens, right? And even the Chinese and Leonardo da Vinci had sketches of gliders and helicopters. And, but it really wasn't until the late 1800s and really the 1940s and 50s when Francis Regallo invented what we consider today a modern hang glider. And to believe it or not, most people don't know this, but NASA actually looked at using a hang glider as a re-entry vehicle for the Apollo program. And that sort of publicity is really what gave birth to modern hang gliding. Popular Mechanics ran an article back in the 70s about building your own hang glider, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
the early wings were made out of bamboo and sheet plastic and duct tape.
Right.
We've come a long way since then.
Certainly have. There's an old adage in hang gliding: you fly as high as you want to fall. And the other one is hang gliding is. I always say it's better than sex because it lasts longer.
I'm not touching that. I'll let Marty speak to that one.
What's your longest flight, your highest flight, your longest duration of like unpowered flying?
Well, most flights are short, 20, 30 minutes.
It's not short. That's a long time.
But the ideal would be up for a few hours.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys land only because they get cold or they get tired or they have to go to the bathroom or it gets dark.
Yeah.
My actually first flight that I took at altitude was in a paraglider as a tandem.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason we landed was because it got dark.
Really?
It was awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
My longest flight?
Yeah, highest flight.
Highest flight, probably for me personally, was about 3,000 feet above launch. Lasted a couple hours.
Yeah.
For people that don't understand, free flight is we fly without motors, right? So we're completely dependent on the weather conditions. We need wind and thermal activity, which is the heated rising air to keep us
like bubbles
aloft.
in a boiling pot.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you can find those, you can stay aloft for hours on end.
And that's part of the fun. You're on a search, and it's all in the touch and the feel. You tend to become one with the wing when you're flying. It gets very responsive.
There's a progression of skill. Initially it's the short hops you fly, for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. But as you progress in skill and you become better at finding thermals, advanced pilots can stay afloat for hours.
Yeah.
And then when you really have mastered that, they do what they go cross country, where you actually just fly away from the hill and go as far as you can.
A friend of mine went 120 some miles down to Scranton. Ended up landing in a military base, didn't know it.
Oh.
And the MPs pulled up with the machine guns raised. What are you doing here? Who is this? I think it was a 5-hour trip. He ended up going down toward, I think he took off from Dansville and ended up going, whatever that is, southeast into Pennsylvania. And it got to where there was no place to land except this. Looked like a factory, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we had a paraglider pilot out of Canada who was flying at Bristol, decided to head up north, went up along Canandaigua Lake, and he started losing altitude, so he decided to pick a field to land in. He landed in the field not realizing that until he was too late, he was landing next to a big, huge party tent. Oh. And there was a wedding going on.
Oh,
and
cool.
he was so apologetic to him. I'm sorry we ruined your wedding. And they said, no. They brought him in and fed him and gave him drinks. They had a story
right. Well,
that no one else would have.
Football games have guys land in parachutes. Why not? Yeah, actually, a friend of mine who used to be in the RAF launched from Bristol and landed above CMAC in the parking lot and packed up and brought his tickets to the concert he went to.
Nice.
These are the things that you could do when you hang glide. Now, if you want to get into hang gliding, how does it work? Where do you start?
Well, you can check us out online, RochesterAreaFlyers.com.
Okay.
We're on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram. We have a website that really details the basics of entry into hang gliding in the Rochester area.
So you take lessons, right?
You do, and I should say that we are sort of in a unique position in the RAF. We are members teaching members.
Right.
There are organizations out there, for-profit organizations. You can go out and you can pay to learn to hang glide. We don't really do that. You join our club, and then as a club member, you get the benefits of learning how to fly from other members. Our biggest training season starts in April and goes through May, June, and sometimes into July. We're dependent on the weather, and we're also dependent on the crops around our training hill in Farmington.
And your training hill is like 100-foot high drumlin, which is a kind of outcropping where you can fly off 3 different sides.
Correct.
I'm very familiar with that. What's the process? So you get there the first day, you do a ground school, you learn all about hang gliding for a day, and then you go out and you play with gliders? How does it start?
Your first opportunity is April 11th. We have, and if you go to the website, you can see all this. We have a check it out day. It's a couple of hours where we talk to you about our club, about hang gliding in general, about our equipment, how the process works, and our training. And then, weather permitting, we'll strap you into a glider and you run across the ground just to feel the glider. Sometimes you'll go up the slope a little bit and maybe get your toes off the ground. Like I said, once we get your toes off the ground, we've got your hook.
Yeah, it's all over then.
That gives you an opportunity to see if it's for you. Can I handle a glider? Is this too heavy for me? Is that hill too high? Does it scare me? If you decide to do the Check It Out program, then you take the ground school and you start our training.
That's great. So that's April 11th.
April 11th is our Check It Out. The rain date is the 18th. And it's at the training hill in Farmington, right where the Farmington Water Tower is.
Yeah.
And training starts April 25th, I believe.
Yeah. Training would start a couple weeks after that. And like you were asking, the first day, because not everybody comes to the check it out. Some people say, I know I want to do this.
Yeah, right.
So we start right off with, here's the equipment. Show you how to get the equipment. We put the gliders together and we do the same thing. We start running, but now you're learning more about it. You've learned a little bit about weather. You've learned a little bit about the aerodynamics of the glider, and everybody progresses at their own rate. That's the beauty of our club. I mean, there's a certified instructor, and club members also show up and help you. So if there's a few men and women in the class, everybody progresses at their own rate. I know when I did it, I was 50 years old when I did it, and there were college kids in my class.
Right.
They were flying off the top. I'm still at the bottom running with the glider. But it didn't take long to get up there. Once you catch it, you got it.
Once you figure it out. This is a sport for both men and women. And I want to spotlight a gal that I know and you guys know, Linda Salamone. She, mother of 4, she's in her, I think she was in her 40s when she first started. Did her thing. She started right after I kind of got out of it. She ended up becoming pretty good.
She was on our U.S. national team. She traveled internationally to competitions.
Yeah, like one of the top-ranked female hang glider pilots on the planet.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Right. Flying Alps and Rocky Mountains and South America ridges and crazy things like that. So this can be done. You can have fun and you can do so much with it. The camaraderie is awesome. The locations are beautiful. And again, people come from all over the United States to fly our sites.
And internationally. We have, when I went through, we had a student from Japan.
Cool.
We've got, Christoph went back to Germany. He came and flew with us for a while. I think Saudi's Iranian. There's a lot of different nationalities because we are known in the community of hang gliders and paragliders as a great site if you can get there.
If you've ever been down to Bristol, you see the Bristol Mountain, you see the hang gliders flying off.
Right.
That's you guys.
Yeah, right from Bristol's parking lot. If you opposite of the ski resort, if you look up, you'll see one of our launches.
That was one of my first high flights was across from Bristol.
And that's what we use. Yeah, we use that a lot for our first high site. So I should back up and say, what is a high site?
Right.
When you learn to fly with us, we train on our training hill. Training hill's about 125 feet tall. There are a series of skills that one must master before we take you. We don't just take you up to Bristol, which is 900 feet above ground level, and throw you off the cliff. By the time you get to that point, you have mastered the skills that you need to be able to handle that kind of a flight. And that's sort of our graduation present to you. After you train with us, you get the skills under your belt, we take you to Bristol.
My first flight off Bristol was 3-minute sled run. Right down in the valley, take a left at the barn. It's crazy.
You still remember.
I do. I can never forget this. Landed, did the whole thing. I think my third flight was an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
It's life-changing.
It is.
It sounds corny, and when I often compare it to, it's almost a spiritual sort of event. But until you do it, until your feet leave the ground and you fly under your own power, like a bird. Hang gliding and paragliding is as close to bird-like flight as man can get, and it changes you.
You know the turkey vultures that fly around?
For sure.
When they fly next to you and they look over at you, that's just a life-changing experience also.
And
it's crazy.
eagles as well.
Yes.
In the southern tier, we've seen a resurgence in eagles, and it's not uncommon at all to have bald eagles flying with you.
Flying with you.
They fly, they play with you.
As you set up your glider, you're looking up and you see the hawks circling, and you know that's where you want to be.
Right, because when they fly, you can fly. Right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Don't get me started, guys. There's so much fun.
A lot of people are afraid to do this. They say, I could never do that. I'm afraid of heights. The first time I went to a meeting and I mentioned that a friend of mine wanted to do it, he was afraid of heights.
Yeah.
They said, who isn't?
Right.
Half of these people are afraid of heights. They're afraid. They see the people in the little squirrel suits flying through cliffs. We don't do that. We're very safety conscious. We're flying. The hang gliders are made out of aircraft aluminum. They're very strong.
Oh, yeah.
Very aerodynamic. We all fly with parachutes just in case something does happen. If Chris and I crash into each other in midair because we aren't paying attention, we've got parachutes to bring us and the glider to the ground.
Right.
But that's never happened, I should say.
Yeah,
in
we haven't
45
deployed
years, that's never happened.
Right.
We haven't deployed our parachutes.
Right. There's a certain person, and you might think you're not that, but you should go and take a look at the what's it called? The Go See?
The Check It Out
Check It
program.
Out event. April 11th at Padgham Hill. You're going to find all the information on the website, and that is, again,
Rochester Area Flyers.com. All one word. Rochester Area Flyers, FLYERS.com.
And you can find out more by going to the website, or maybe we can have you guys back to talk more stories, and maybe after the ground school kicks off and bring some New Year's students in to talk about this. Any age group, any mindset. This is not a thrill seeker thing. This isn't the Red Bull adventure jump off cliff kind of mindset.
Right.
This is, if you love who you are and you want to be safe and fly and be happy, this is the kind of place where you need to be. So check it out. Thank you so much, guys. RochesterAreaFlyers.com.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being neighbors in need.